Hello, hello. This is Chad and Isola coming at you from Long Beach Comic-Con. We have a very, very special guest sitting with us right now, Sam Witwer. Sam, thanks for coming and sitting down with us.
No problem. My pleasure.
Yes, for sure, especially since it's, lunchtime for you?
Well, it is lunchtime, yes.
Past lunchtime?
Yes, I'm eating a microphone right now.
So, Sam, if you don't know Sam, I don't know if you've ever listened to our show before. I mean, we're big geeks, and Sam, you've done everything across the geek spectrum, from voicing video games to being a vampire.
I try to get around, yeah.
Well, that can mean several things.
Yeah, it means all things.
So where did you really start? Like, I saw you initially in The Force Unleashed.
Yeah, I saw me a little bit before that.
Oh. That's where I learned of you
my parents
years
even
ago.
before that, yeah. Force Unleashed. Yes, that was in fact me. You got it.
How was that doing a video game? It looked, obviously the character looked almost exactly like you. Yeah. In comparison to doing something like Almost Human.
Being human.
Being human?
Yeah, being human. Almost Human is...
I was going to do that.
No,
They've been telling me not to do
warned
that.
him not to do it because he does it every time, and he knows which one's which.
That was the thing. That was the short... The J.J. Abrams series that was on for, I think, a season with Carl Urban playing a robot or a cop or something.
He was a cop, and there were several robots.
There was a robot, yeah. Anyway, it was, what was the question? What's going on?
What do you like better? Do you like doing the live action roles, or do you like doing voiceover?
Well, the Force Unleashed was shot like live action. There weren't any sets. But it was shot on camera. Okay. So all the audio we captured in the game, well, not all of it, but a lot of the audio that we captured, at least all the audio in the cutscenes, was captured while they shot it.
Okay.
So I was like, I know how to do this.
So you did a lot of mocap for that one.
Yeah, or in mocap or performance reference capture, that type of thing. And the thing I didn't have a lot of experience in was just doing straight voiceover. And there was a voiceover component to that game, obviously, because there's all this in-game dialogue and stuff. And so that was new. And also doing a voice, which wasn't... Starkiller was my voice. But doing the Emperor... Well,
I mean, the look, the voice, everything was you.
Exactly, yeah. So what was another new thing for me was doing a voice that was radically different from my own, which was the Emperor. So... I guess Force Unleashed was a formative moment where I was having my first exposure to voiceover, my first exposure to doing, sending my voice in a completely different direction. But a lot of the Starkiller stuff was just on camera, like what I already knew how to do.
Oh, okay.
So Force Unleashed kind of led to the voiceover stuff that I do now, basically.
And now, I mean, you've done Palpatine, you've done Darth Maul. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you've done quite a few. You're going to be doing some stuff in Star Wars Rebels coming up. What kind of live action stuff? I mean, Smallville. Smallville is my. I mean, I have Superman everywhere.
I see.
I have my vanity plates on my car as the Blur from Smallville. So I'm a big Smallville fan. I
always thought that was weird that they called them the Red Blue Blur.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't have just called them the Blur. You know what I mean? Like it's the Red Blue Blur. Red Blue Blood Blue. You're just like it doesn't really roll off your tongue.
No, not at all.
Red Blue Blur.
As far as your time on Smallville, because you were on there for quite a while.
Just a year. You
had a good role on there.
It wasn't they just had you on for 2 episodes.
It wasn't.
I was there for the whole year.
Yeah.
You got to play an iconic character, Doomsday, and it was a very different take on it. What was that like?
Well,
for you,
there were a few roles in a row that were that were scary. Starkiller, because it's a Star Wars protagonist, and generally Star Wars fans are not shy if they don't like a Star Wars protagonist or whatever.
For sure.
Doomsday was the same way, because it's like, okay, well, this is a character that is important to DC Comics and Superman fans, moreover. So we're doing something really weird and different with it, and I hope people like it. And if they don't, they're going to blame me. I guess the more informed audience members might point the finger at the writers of the show, but it's not going to leave me looking very good. So I was happy we got away with it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very different take, and of course, there's always the internet trolls.
Yeah, there's always
But,
someone that's going to complain about something.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, they were very kind. The Smallville fans have been very kind to me since we did that.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed every role you've been in, especially as Aiden. Leading up to that, that's really your longest role to date that you've had, correct? Was that five or 6 seasons?
Four
Was it
seasons.
Four, man, I'm off my game
What's
right now.
going on with
There's
you
no
today?
Google in here. I haven't been able to brush up too much. But how was that? Like you took on what was basically a UK show, and it was the reimagining of it. And I've watched both, and I really, really enjoyed yours much, much more than the UK version.
Well, it's very kind to say.
My wife and I were obsessed with that show.
Is that
We
right?
love, yeah.
Well, that's another situation where the pressure was on because we were now remaking a beloved British series, and you don't want to mess that up.
Yeah.
So I think the whole thing there. I mean, the British fans were really sharpening their claws before we came out, and after we came out, they left us alone, which I was happy about. I didn't want to just get beat up the entire time we were doing the show.
Yeah.
I think the most rewarding thing in terms of the expectation was getting a nice email from Toby Whithouse, the guy that created the British series.
Okay.
Getting a nice email from him when we were done saying that he thought we had gotten it right. I was very happy to hear that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, but look, I started watching it a little after it had come out, and I was glued to my set. Like, I mean, you guys all did a great job. It was really well done. And then I actually watched some of the British version of it. And like Chad said, I mean, you guys did a great job. Like, I really enjoyed.
There were no
The
sparklies
quote-unquote
on you
US
or
version.
anything. That was amazing.
Yeah, no, I was
You
really.
weren't sparkling.
No,
and
we
you
cut
weren't
that,
acting all
yeah.
emo.
Although
I mean,
do
you had a
have
little
to
emo,
say,
but
I would not mind if you sparkled a little. I mean, if they did throw that in there, really, the ladies would not mind it.
Well, there were dour moments with that character. You could have used a little glitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the British series, and I'm just the Being Human fans that I think are my favorite are the ones that watch both.
Yeah.
You can have your favorite, and that's cool. But I like the ones that were like, they got very different. Those two shows were very different, and that's what we were endeavoring to do. In fact, on both sides, both the British and the American were ignoring what each other were doing, so that we could make sure that we had two distinct shows.
Yeah.
Because we were all allied. We were all part of the same Being Human family. So there was definitely an effort to stay away from territory that was being covered by the other. We would start in a very similar place and then diverge radically. That was the idea.
Now, one of the things that for myself and you said for my wife that really drew us to the show was the character interaction. I mean, great character development, but it really truly felt like each of you really cared about each other.
Yeah.
And that was so important because, like you said, he's had some dour moments. Aiden did, but you felt that they were fighting for each other's lives and souls during the entire course of the show. How did you and the rest of the crew make that happen? I mean, were you guys friends? I mean, are you still friends? I mean, is that
it's because we're friends.
Okay, and that came through. Obviously.
Well, it's funny on certain sets, not all sets, but there are sets out there where you get warned about a certain actor.
Yeah,
like you better be careful because so and so is going to want his sip of Diet Coke after every take, and if you get in his way, he's going to be very angry. Some weird stuff. And we didn't have those kinds of egos on the set of Being Human. The regulars were very easy to deal with. What's funny is the people we had to contend with sometimes were maybe one or two of the guests, which was funny because usually it's the other way around. Usually it's the guests catering to the regulars because it's their show. And in our case, we're like, okay, all right, well, let's just try to let this person have their way a little bit, and then don't worry, they'll be done, and we can go on making our show. So it was kind of funny that we were all so chilled out that we would actually tolerate. I mean, I think if there was one cast member whose patience was tried by that kind of thing, it would be me.
Really?
Maybe I was the one who eventually was like, okay, shut up and do your job. on only 2 occasions in 4 years. That's it.
Well, that's pretty good, though, that
Not
it was
so
only
bad.
2.
And honestly, the thing is like, there's a lot of, that type of thing doesn't happen that often. It really doesn't. It's just that I think what it is when you're spending like anywhere from 14 to 17 hours a day with people, who you are eventually really does come through. And in the case of Sam Huntington, Megan Rath, and Kristen Hager, they're very nice people.
Right.
So who they are came through, and they were very nice, and it was lovely to spend 16 hours a day with them.
Right. And, you can really see that coming through in the show as well, because it is almost like a family dynamic. But, you kind of start to see the real person, even though they're playing a role.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see that come through. There was nothing that really seemed like, oh God, I have to spend more time with this person. And,
Yeah, I mean, and it does come through to the public as well. I mean, I have to say to yourself, when we heard you were going to be here, it was we want to try and get Sam on the show
a day ago.
Yeah.
Well, I think we saw it on Twitter, either that or Long Beach. I think they put it on their Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something that I saw, but it was very close too.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Yeah.
And then I squealed a little.
They called me, I think, 2 days ago. So I was like,
oh,
yeah,
really?
I live here. Not in Long Beach, but I live nearby.
Well, literally,
you're close.
everybody we talked to was like, "Oh, Sam, he's a great guy." People
that's
that
nice.
other press people.
No, seriously.
No, I mean other press people that have dealt with you. She's met you at a cosplay event.
Yeah,
here
you
in
were
LA
at Club
before
Cosplay.
and said you were a really sweet
I
guy.
can't remember who.
Well,
And-
listen. As long as we're saying that about me, let me just admit that season 1 of Being Human, I was generally okay.
Generally,
No. I actually I asked Adam Kane, one of our executive producers and our director of a lot of our key episodes. I'm like, Adam, how'd I do this year? And and after the first season, the first season of any show is brutal. I mean, because people don't quite know how to make the show yet. The rhythms haven't been established. And and also our equipment required longer setup times. So our longest day, I believe, was 23 hours, 22 or 23 hours.
That's brutal.
That was a Monday, by the way. So
that's the worst day.
we were, and with season 1, I was the guy that was on set the most. I didn't have any. I had, I think, 4 days off in season 1.
Wow.
I was there every day. So, by comparison, some of the other actors were not there as much.
Right.
So I was exhausted, and Adam Kane was like, I'm like, so how did I do this year? He's like, dude, I'm so proud of how hard you worked, and I thought the work was great, and this and that. I'm like, great. He's like, you could be a little nicer though. I'm like, oh, was I? Because I thought I was hiding that. He's like, nope. I'm like, all right, I'll work on it. So
Well, you're still hiding. You're hiding it really well,
right?
You're tolerating me.
Season 2, I was a hell of a lot nicer. In season 3, and so on. In season 4, but season 1, I had to learn how to. Season 1 was the big eye opener of when you're that exhausted.
Yeah.
There are actually extra measures you have to take.
Yeah.
To project, a certain sense of friendliness.
Yeah.
Like a certain sense.
I mean, God, I can't even last 48 hours without getting cranky. So going a whole season of filming, and only having 4 days off. That's amazing.
I was told by the end of the season that people could tell I was a little cranky.
Wow.
So I made sure that didn't happen the rest of the seasons. So I'm admitting it. I think at one point there was some actor who didn't mean anything by it. But he changed my blocking when I wasn't looking, and I didn't take too kindly to that, and I let people know, that type of thing. Things where something would happen and the exhaustion would take over, and you'd say, no, we're not doing it like this. We're doing it like that. Now, let's go.
Well, but you didn't have some type of Christian Bale.
Never had a Christian
Bale moment.
Never had a Christian Bale moment.
So then you're fine, because nothing
Never.
beats that. I mean, really,
No.
Unless if you run around naked because you go crazy or something. But I really can't see anybody.
No screaming, none of that.
Now, I know you got a really busy con. You've taken some of your precious time. We have one more question.
Yeah.
Is there anything coming up that you can talk about that we're going to see you in?
Movie called Officer Down. Movie called Tales of Halloween. There's a video game that hasn't been announced. There's another video game that has been announced, but people don't know I'm in it yet.
Uh-oh.
And then...
Fallout.
Yeah. And then there's...
That would be amazing.
Then there's some more fun Star Wars animated stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
People-
Rebels season 2.
Yeah, people may or may not know that I'm Palpatine on Rebels, so that's fun.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
I am too. Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
thank you.